what's going on, guys? It's J-Mass, and I'm back again with another dope New England adventure. So right now I'm in the greatest city on earth. That's of course Boston, Massachusetts, the largest city in both Massachusetts and New England. And I'm actually on the western side of the city today in the neighborhood of Roxbury. I'm actually on the grounds of the Franklin Park Zoo, one of the largest zoos in New England. And this is an abandoned place that I've been wanting to show you guys for a while because it's a place I've been many times, one of my favorite and one of the most iconic abandoned locations here in New England. These, of course, are the abandoned bear dens. Now, all the way back in 1912, when the Franklin Park Zoo first opened up, they showed off these bear exhibits. They housed a variety of different bears, from grizzly bears to polar bears to black bears. There's a couple of these abandoned bear dens on the property. Now, obviously, they're no longer in use by the Franklin Park Zoo. They're completely decommissioned and abandoned, but they're still left here. They've been abandoned since 1958, and I'm gonna show you guys what's going on in the abandoned bear dens here in the Franklin Park Zoo in Roxbury, Boston, Massachusetts. Again, these are one of my favorite abandoned locations. Been here many times. I've been dying to show you guys. I do want to apologize in advance. It's probably going to be kind of loud in this video. There's actually an event going on in the zoo right nearby me, so just apologies in advance. Probably going to be kind of loud in the background, but we're going to get right into it, exploring the abandoned bear dens here in the Franklin Park Zoo in Boston. Anyways, my name is J-Mass. If you guys love urban exploration, checking out abandoned locations, and just traveling around New England, don't forget to subscribe to the channel or follow me on Instagram at JMassOfficial. That's at JMassOfficial. Well, let's get right into it. The abandoned bear dens here in the Franklin Park Zoo in Boston, Massachusetts. I'll give you guys a little bit more of the history as we walk around and check it out. So the Franklin Park Zoo officially opened up to the public on October 4th, 1912. It was managed by the city of Boston, and it was a completely free zoo, which meant you didn't even have to pay to get in. But by 1958, the zoo was transferred over to the Metropolitan District Commission, and at that point, it actually became a for-profit zoo. Now, the reason for the transfer was because by the 1930s and 40s, the Franklin Park Zoo was falling under hard times, mostly due to the Great Depression. But when the Metropolitan District Commission took over, it began charging for entry. Now, the abandoned bear dens you see here were abandoned in 1958 during this time. That's because the Franklin Park Zoo downsized, and these dens were cut off from the park itself. The Franklin Park Zoo is still an existing and operating zoo today. It's actually all the way over there, behind that tree line. But the bear dens over here have been completely cut off and abandoned ever since. And we're actually going to be checking out the remnants of what's left. Now, a variety of bears actually inhabited these dens. Grizzly bears, black bears, polar bears. I don't know which bears were in which den. I do want to make that clear. If I find out, I'll leave below. But we're going to check them out and see what's going on. And as you can see, this is one of the dens right here. Got the classic iron cage that a lot of old school zoo exhibits used to have. Obviously, the safety and happiness of the animals wasn't their top priority, but still pretty cool. Got some cool stone architecture right here, concrete foundation. And this, I believe, was probably some sort of pool, like a watering hole, or just, you know, a little pool for the bears to swim in, maybe drink water from. That's my assumption. Also got two boulders here, probably for them to just play around with. But yeah, pretty cool exhibit right here. Again, not sure which bears inhabited this den, but still really cool to check out. And again, you can see remnants of the cage itself, especially the iron gate that went around it. Now, obviously, these were built in 1912, so it might look a little different from modern day zoo exhibits. You know, they have more of the animals' safety and happiness in mind compared to this one, but still really cool. And let's go check out the other one. So this right here is the largest of all the bear dens on the property. This one is absolutely massive. And if you've heard of the abandoned bear dens in Boston before, I'm sure you've seen pictures of this. This is a really cool stone engraving in this exhibit. That's actually the Boston City seal right there, the insignia. And you actually have two bears surrounding it. And of course, the year of foundation, 1912. I always thought that was a really cool, you know, sculpture right there. Pretty dope. And again, the massive exhibit. Apologies for the noise. I just want to make that clear again. There's an event going on, so it's pretty loud. But anyways, this is one of the pools right here. As I mentioned, they had these watering holes for the bears to swim in, drink from, all that kind of thing. I think they were mostly just swimming pools. And one thing I always liked about this exhibit right here is it kind of slopes up. It starts kind of low, but as it goes, the elevation slowly slopes up, kind of for the bears to just run around, play with, you know. Got this huge rock right here they can climb up. It is really cool. I mean, I can only imagine what kind of bears were here. I almost want to assume this might have been the grizzly bear exhibit. Not entirely sure, but probably the grizzly bear exhibit. I mean, in that insignia we saw over there, it did look like they were grizzly bears, or brown bears, whatever you want to call them. Now, when this park opened up in 1912, you know, back when it was a free zoo for Bostonians to visit, the bear dens were very popular. They were actually some of the most popular exhibits here in the Franklin Park Zoo. And it's kind of crazy to think that the most popular exhibits in the early days of the Franklin Park Zoo are now completely derelict, decommissioned, and abandoned. Just crazy to see how times can change. And I do gotta say, these aren't really in great condition. I'll actually give you guys a quick close-up. You can see the iron gates are just completely rusted away. A lot of the metal has corroded with time, missing. And I remember reading online that a lot of the gates were actually stolen for scrap metal. I believe a lot of the iron gates that were here were actually completely taken for scrap metal purposes. It's really wild. Oh, and before I head over to the next exhibit, I always wondered what this was. It looks like some sort of bear cage. I don't know if it held anything like food or if it was some kind of toy. So if anyone knows, let me know. I've always been interested in what that was. But yeah, let's go check out the other bear exhibit. So this right here, if I'm not mistaken, is the polar bear exhibit. Again, I could be completely wrong, so don't really take my word for it, but I always assumed this was the polar bear exhibit right here. But yeah, this is one of the 3 major bear dens left behind in this property. Really cool spot. This one really slopes down though. I know on the other exhibit we just checked out, I mentioned there was a bit of a slight dip in elevation. This one though really slopes down, as you can see. We're gonna check out up there and then I'll make my way back down to the iron gate. But one thing I always liked about this specific exhibit is there's a little crawl space you can go in. And I always kind of assumed that this is where the bears could actually hibernate or sleep inside. As you can see, there's a little hole in the stone wall right here. It's completely sealed off so we can't get in. But check that out, tire in there. Yeah, I think this is where the bears like hibernated, slept, you know, maybe ate, all that kind of stuff. That's where the bears went. Obviously, those ones are sealed up, but gives you a good view in there. And then, as I mentioned, huge change in elevation for this exhibit. Yeah, I don't know. I always assumed this was probably the polar bear one, but can't be sure. Another thing I want to direct your attention to really quick. So you'll notice on the exhibit right here, they have a sloped, I guess, roof on the gate. See right there, the sloped roof. That was actually to prevent the bears from climbing up, because bears are very good climbers. They could easily climb up the iron gate, you know, hop over the fence, maybe kill a few guests. But to prevent that from happening, they had these sloped roofs right here. So even if a bear did climb up the gate, it would just fall off or slide off. And another remnant of keeping the bears out, you'll see up here, they actually have spikes. Again, if a bear ever tried climbing up, these spikes right here would prevent the bear from getting any further upwards. Obviously, very state-of-the-art for 1912. I don't think you would really see that nowadays in modern zoos, but that's the technology they had back then. Now, if you look up old photographs of the bear dens during their prime, you know, the early 1900s in the Franklin Park Zoo, you'll see how close guests could actually get to the bears. I actually saw pictures of bears going right up to the gate, and there would be like one person on this side, a bear on this side. You could basically stick your hand into the zoo gate and like a bear could easily chop it off. It's wild. It's just wild to think of how little safety precautions were taken back then. It's wild, but yeah, very cool. One of the abandoned bear dens. This is the 3rd and final one on the property, but it's probably my favorite, to be honest. Just a lot more structural diversity here. So the last thing I want to show you guys here in this area is this grand staircase right here. That was the bear den we were just at right over there, supposedly the polar bear exhibit. But what you would do is you would come from over here, which is towards the modern day Franklin Park Zoo, the one that's currently operating. You would walk down here, go up this grand staircase, and it would bring you to the largest of the bear dens right in front of us. Pretty awesome. Fun fact, by the way, if you know the 2003 film Mystic River, they actually shot a few scenes in these bear dens. So if you ever watched the 2003 film Mystic River, which I believe was directed by Clint Eastwood, I think, that movie was actually filmed here. A few scenes, I mean, really cool. So from everything I could tell, there are currently no plans anytime soon to do anything with these abandoned bear dens. I believe they're pretty much just going to be left here to deteriorate over time. I don't think they're even going to be demolished anytime soon or renovated, but from everything I can tell, these bear dens are pretty much just going to stay here for the foreseeable future. I don't know if you guys can peer in there. There's a little shot inside. Kind of cool. But yeah, pretty cool property. This is a place I've been many times. Again, right off the property of the modern day Franklin Park Zoo in the neighborhood of Roxbury in the city of Boston, Massachusetts. The abandoned bear dens. Built in 1912, abandoned since 1958. Pretty cool property. There's pretty much 3 major exhibits in total, and they really do look the part of an early 1900s zoo exhibit, but they're a really cool remnant, and I gotta say, surprising that this is left in one of the largest cities in the United States. You would think a city like Boston would want this razed or demolished, but kind of glad they left it behind. It's a really cool piece of history. Hey, thank you guys for joining me on another dope New England adventure. This has been one of the most iconic abandoned locations here in the state of Massachusetts, the abandoned bear dens in the Franklin Park Zoo of Boston, Massachusetts. You know, I've been to this place many times, and it's always really cool coming back to check it out. It's such a unique piece of Bostonian history. So back in 1912, when this park first opened up, these bear dens were one of the most popular attractions in the park. Guests always flocked to check them out, and they had a variety of bears. I'm talking grizzly bears, black bears, polar bears. But of course, in 1958, they were abandoned when the Metropolitan District Commission took over the park, and it became a for-profit park. It completely downsized, cut off this portion of the park, and ever since then, it's been completely abandoned. And you can come and check them out, see the remnants of what's going on in this abandoned bear den exhibit. Really cool. And I hope it stays like this for some time, because I think this is a must-see for every New England urban explorer. And by the way, if you're wondering, you know, JMass, is it illegal to come here? There are public walking trails everywhere. From everything I can tell, no issues whatsoever checking this place out. It's completely free and open to the public. But anyways, my name is JMass. If you guys love urban exploration, you know, checking out abandoned locations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'm always doing that throughout New England and beyond. Or follow me on Instagram at JMassOfficial. That's at JMassOfficial. But anyways, I've been JMass, the abandoned bear dens at the Franklin Park Zoo, the neighborhood of Roxbury, in the city of Boston, Massachusetts, which is the greatest city on earth, by the way. I've been JMass, and I'll see you guys on the next one. By the way, I do just want to say thank you guys for bearing with me the entire video. You know, get it? Bearing, like a bear. I'm really sorry about that. I just want to apologize.